Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we have an awesome show for you guys today. Going into Week 17, we are going to break down all of the final playoff scenarios that could be going on in the NFL. We're going to talk about some of the big news. First of all, Dwayne Haskins getting cut, some of those things. We also talked about at the end of last week, we had breaking news where the Auburn head coach was announced. We talked about it very quickly, but we were literally both on our phones because neither of us really knew about the guy. Jacob did some research, has a much better understanding. So if you were interested in that from last week, we kind of teased it. So Jacob's going to have just a short explanation of who he is because we kind of botched the breaking news last week. Not really because it was our fault. It was
just so random.
Exactly. So nobody's fault, but I thought that was kind of funny. We'll bring that in. We are going to start in Houston, though. We're going to start with the Texans, more specifically J.J. Watt and his press conference. I'm going to play the whole clip. It's about a 2-minute clip, so bear with us here. We're going to play this, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
540 total yards, 29 of 38 passing. I mean, screens, quick passes, balls out to open guys. You can't do that. And it's very frustrating, obviously. You can win on a game, you can win a pass rush around the edge, and you're not going to get there. The ball's gone. We didn't stop the run. We played horrendously. And it's harsh, but that is a fact of what we did today. And it is extremely frustrating. Professional athletes getting paid a whole lot of money. If you can't come in and put work in the building, go out to the practice field and work hard, do your lifts and do what you're supposed to do, you should not be here. This is a job. We are getting paid a whole lot of money. There are a lot of people that watch us and invest their time and their money into buying our jerseys and buying a whole bunch of shit. And they care about it. They care every single week. We're in week 16 and we're 4-11. And there's fans that watch this game, that show up to the stadium, that put in time and energy and effort and care about this. So if you can't go out there and you can't work out, you can't show up on time, you can't practice, you can't want to go out there and win, you shouldn't be here. Because this is a privilege. It's the greatest job in the world. You get to go out and play a game. And if you can't care enough, even in week 17, even when you're trash, when you're 4-11, if you can't care enough to go out there and give everything you've got and try your hardest, that's bullshit. So that's how. I think there are people every week that still tweet you, that still come up to you and say, hey, we're still rooting for you. We're still behind you. They have no reason whatsoever to. We stink.
Right?
I don't know.
No, they can't.
But they care, and they still want to win, and they still want you to be great. That's why. Those people aren't getting paid. We're getting paid handsomely. That's why. And that's who I feel the most bad for is our fans. And the people who care so deeply in this city, and the people who love it and who truly want it to be great. And it's not. And that sucks as a player to know that we're not giving them what they deserve.
All right. So I believe that hits hard if you're just about anybody. I think that whole speech could really be used you could point that to a lot of different fields, a lot of different people. I know something like that would have been good for me my first year of college when I was a shitty student. I think, that can transcend just the sports. I felt like it was important to say that, but also I found it so poignant when the same day that I saw that video, at least I don't know exactly when it was posted, but the same day I saw that was the same day that Dwayne Haskins gets fired from the Washington football team. And it just felt so pointed. Obviously, he was talking about his team, his teammates that are obviously struggling mightily at 4-11, as they talked about, bad football team, all that. But I think it can be pointed to a guy who had talent. I mean, we all knew he had talent coming out of Ohio State. He was childish, at times. There were a couple warning signs. I know there was rumors throughout the draft process that he was a little immature, but I think at the time a lot of people thought 21-year-old kid, he'll figure it out. There was nothing, super super obvious that said, oh shit, he's never going to figure out the next level, or he's never going to shape up. But 2 years into his career, he never shaped up. There was countless things, going to the strippers area or whatever, the strip club, without a mask, and that was a whole thing. In late last season, when he had a chance to play, they had to put the backup back in because he was signing something for a fan off to the side, not paying attention to the game. He looked just overall very disconnected on the sidelines. He was very rarely ever around Alex Smith, or even in his first year when Case Keenum was there. You never saw that. Like, you couldn't tell on the sidelines, at least, that he was really in it. And granted, you don't know how it looks behind the scenes, so you don't want to make those judgments. But now I think it's fair to say, hey, he wasn't working it behind the scenes either. And I mean, just crazy to think that the last young quarterback that Alex Smith was around was Patrick Mahomes. So why would you not do everything you can to be around Alex Smith and realize that he has a whole lot to offer, regardless of injury and all those other things. I felt like that is such an interesting topic for these young guys. Obviously, the quarterback position is so magnified, especially for the average fan. But in general, I think it works for just about every position and every young player that comes in the league. I think it's probably one of the biggest reasons why some of these ultra talented dudes that get drafted very early on, it's not a lack of talent. I don't think, we can grade the talent, especially at that level when you're, a top 5, top 10 pick. There's no doubt you have physical ability. It's what's between the ears, So I thought it was interesting. What did you think about that?
Dwayne Haskins handled it maturely being cut. He said, but it's one thing to say everything on Twitter. It's one thing to say everything after the fact to the media. I'm going to use this for my betterment. I'm going to better myself and be a better quarterback going forward.
It felt like it could have easily been a publicist type of that. You know what I mean?
Been either way. He said the right thing, so I'm not even going to get into that. It's the actions going from the past that have to change going forward because, like you said, we see the product in college. We see the plays. I think there are so many different times when you look at athletes coming out from college to the pros, maybe some of them need to be babied a little bit more, if you will. They need to have kind of that college to NFL, holding their hand as they get going with their baby steps, because sometimes just this transition is like, hey, it's your job now. We're not going to remind you that you got to do this, that, and the other to get better. You need to take it upon yourself to be in that office at 6 a.m. and then leave at 9 p.m. Get ready to do it again at 6 a.m. And so forth and so on. I think Haskins, I wish him the best. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I don't either. It would take a total character mentality change to go from, because he's going to get a backup job. I do believe that. He will get another shot.
He'll get a chance to get a backup job at the very least.
And that's his last, though. I do believe that. I mean, like some guys, look at Josh Rosen, for instance. A guy who barely even got a shot. But there's a time where opportunity is one of the biggest things in the NFL that can overtake talent sometimes, can overtake draft position, can overtake all of that stuff, is just opportunity and just being ready to go at a given moment. And Haskins had a shot. It didn't hit the first time around. Washington didn't have a lot to give him, I don't think, but there we go.
At the end of the day, he showed a little bit of promise at the end of last year. I will say, I was a fan of Haskins. I thought he was the third best quarterback coming out in that class. I liked Locke a little bit more, who ended up going number 2 or going in the second round. And then obviously everyone thought Kyler was the number 1. I agreed with that for the most part. But I liked Haskins a whole lot, and I don't think that anybody, at least at my level or at our level, as far as evaluators of talent, can really say they missed on this, because he wasn't fired because he didn't have talent and because he wasn't just because he was just absolute dog shit, and he wasn't good in the NFL. I don't want to change it. And if he would have been good enough, the team probably would have looked past all the other stuff. But he got fired because of his actions off the field, his inactivity, his inability to work every single day.
It was his willingness to not try to be better.
Exactly.
Was the thing, because they saw what they had right now, and they were like, man, if you're not trying to get better, then we know you're not going to get better, because we haven't seen it yet. And then they saw that he wasn't trying actively to learn from his mentors, like you said, in the locker room, to be that he. I mean, Booger McFarland got a lot of flack for what he said recently coming out against Dwayne Haskins.
I didn't hear about that one.
He came out and spoke heavily about his message was more about African Americans, and I'm not going to hit on that at all. But it was because of Dwayne Haskins and the social media vibe, the overall getting clout in this era versus building your personal brand versus helping a team and giving them something on the field. Yeah. And I'm not going to speak on behalf of everyone out there. That's not my place to do that at all. But Dwayne Haskins in itself, there were several times where we could point to the things, his actions, and say, yeah, it was more about him than it was about the Washington football team at the time.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, and I think the brand of NFL player coming out in the class right now, from now on, pretty much gone are the days of guys that are just making money playing on football. You look at Juju Smith, even if they don't have ad deals on national TV, their social media presence, their brand, their personality, it makes them money now. And that's just the way it goes.
That's where we're at.
That's so every single young player who has a name coming out of college, gets drafted highly, they are going to have to balance that, and it's going to be an interesting thing. I would be, this isn't going to be the last player that falls to that, that fails to balance that very well, and it's definitely not going to be the last player who lets his ego kind of get ahead of his
play.
His play and his maturity. I do think it's worth noting that, over the past couple years, I think we have gotten really lucky with the type of guys. And I'm just going to talk quarterback because I think it's the easiest to really put a microscope over. But, the quarterbacks that have come out recently, I feel like are all, they're copy paste of what you would want from a person.
You're saying it nicely. We don't have the douchebag.
Yeah, there really aren't.
Kyler's not a douchebag.
No.
Kyler had some iffy stuff coming out, but even I can admit, who was a Kyler critic, very hard critic for a long time. But Kyler's a good guy. Yeah. Wants the best for his team, does everything right.
Works
Deshaun
hard.
Watson.
Works hard.
Hard worker, does everything he's supposed to. Deshaun Watson is already giving back to Joe Burrow from the ACL injury. Yeah. Joe Burrow looking at the spotlight. Yeah. Everyone so far, when we look at the past quarterbacks,
for the most part, very, very rare do you get that.
Handling it very well. Yeah. I would say the last time we had a slip up was Jameis, honestly.
Yeah, Jameis, and really, I think Jameis's Achilles heel was his play on the field. I don't, he definitely had some off the field things in college and into the NFL with the Uber driver incident, but it didn't seem as though he wasn't working hard in the facility at least. But yeah, I mean, you just look at last year. I think is a shining example of what you want. The top three quarterbacks, all see Tua, Herbert, and Burrow, all pretty humble guys for the most part. Different personalities, I would say, from each person. But you have Burrow, who has like that I'm not going to compare him to Tom Brady on the field, but like that Tom Brady mindset. I feel like where he doesn't give a shit about anything else. He just wants to win. Like that's kind of the vibe I get from him. You have Tua, who's obviously very humble, been benched twice now, and has handled it very, very well. Has handled learning very well. Exactly, and I believe him. And then you have Herbert, who he did have critics saying that he was quiet, but I mean, in the NFL, quiet leadership is still leadership.
When you throw 29 touchdowns.
Exactly. So I thought worth noting, and then who better to give that speech than a J.J. Watt, who there are some critics of J.J. Watt, but how can you not just absolutely love that dude?
Yeah, can we take it to J.J. for just a second?
Yeah, of course.
And admire his passion, his grit, his willingness to show up day in and day out and do his job. I think when you look at like homegrown athletes, the Watt family in itself is one of the best examples of it, of just showing up, doing your job. You have God-given talent, yes,
of course.
But when God-given talent meets the hard work ethic that J.J. Watt has, that's when you have a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And that's where it with J.J. And I know his contract is too much of a burden for another team. I want him to go get a ring.
I would love to see him go. And honestly,
I want to see him with a contender, man.
And he has the mindset that he could go to like a young team with a ton of talent and really shape them into place. I look at like, man, I obviously I think any team would be lucky to have them, but like a Buffalo Bills team, kind of young, has a lot of talent, obviously 12-3. Of course, they could use the J.J. Watt on the field, but they could use the J.J. Watt in the locker room and get everybody just absolutely, honed in. We'll see what happens this year. They obviously have a good chance to compete. But, man, really, like I said, any team would benefit from that.
J.J. Watt
love to see him go
an
to a
anomaly,
contender.
man, because when you have fire is wild and it spreads.
Yeah.
But J.J. Watt has the ability to keep fire right the fuck here. For one through 4 quarters, and he will just destroy you. He's one of my favorite players of all time, and that's why it's a shame. I like that he doesn't take I guess when we say coach talk, the player talk out of it. He says it like it is. We're trash right now. props to him for not dogging his teammates specifically by name. I'm curious
but
in itself to know
who he's talking to some people.
Well, and there's so much turmoil in that organization. It's just sad to see because they have Deshaun Watson, who before you know it, man, we're going 2, 3, 4 years on. We're talking.
Listen, I said it.
Prime is wasted.
I said it at the beginning, or, at some time of the offseason. We can probably go back and find it. But I remember saying that I am very worried that the Deshaun Watson career is going to end up very similar to the Andrew Luck career.
Yeah.
A ton of talent.
I thought you were about to say Aaron Rodgers, and I was about to say he ain't even going to get the ring.
No, I was going to say, obviously, I don't expect him. I think even the time I said I don't expect him to quit or retire the way, Andrew Luck did, but I could absolutely see him just start to get bogged down with injuries because he takes a lot of hits.
Of course.
The second his team finally starts to get good, he's going to start to, decline. I hope that I'm wrong.
He'll probably start to look at that bank account and be like, whoa, I'm good, man. I mean, that's where it's at. Player mentality, player branding, getting back to the whole, the players as they come into the league. I mean, look at Taylor Lewan with bussing with the boys and stuff, like podcasts. You
makes
see
a ton of money. That's an offensive lineman.
Twitch streamers. You see all sorts of different media outlets that these guys are using. And it's very hard to balance nowadays. Yeah. It's completely different.
Yeah, I think you look at Pat McAfee's a great example of a dude, a punter that no one gave a shit about the punter, and now he has one of the biggest shows, out there in sports. And really, if he had come out this year, like if he had come out now in this medium, he probably could have balanced both. He probably could have had somewhat of a personality and shown his personality, and then be able to turn it on, as opposed to kind of having to create everything after he left the NFL. Things like that I think are going to happen, especially with the charismatic guys that are coming in the NFL. Let's move on. Let's switch topics. I got
one more thing though.
Yeah.
One more sort of weird thing behind Ron Rivera and Dwayne Haskins.
Okay.
So Dwayne Haskins was the quarterback for the Washington Redskins at the time. Beat the Carolina Panthers that lost Ron Rivera his job. Mm-hmm. The Carolina Panthers just beat the Ron Rivera-led football team Dwayne Haskins quarterback-led. Mm-hmm. That lost Dwayne Haskins his job.
Oh, that's funny.
It's weird how it flip-flops.
It is. That is.
Ron Rivera was like, you beat me, now I beat you. Get out of here. You're gone.
That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. That's great. All right, let's move on. I'm going to let you take over. I'm not going to add a whole lot to this. I'm just going to let you do a quick synopsis of the Auburn head coaching hire. Let me know what you think, man.
Like I said last week, for those of you who hung on that long and watched, I mean, it was at the very, very end of our podcast last week. If you want to go see it, go check it out. I was shocked because that was a name that wasn't even on any section of my brain. Mm-hmm. Brian Harsin wasn't a name that I knew in college football, and I'm a very avid college football fan. I guess not as avid as some of you who may know who Brian Harsin is when it gets, going up north towards Boise.
Yeah, and that's Boise State. That's a smaller school, obviously.
And
it's
the thing
not
with
our fault,
with it being said is that Brian Harsin was a guy who graduated, went to Boise State. That was his, that was his alma mater. That was the dream job that he wanted to go back to. And I will give props to Auburn's athletic director for blocking out all the boosters, keeping it as quiet as you can. All the noise and just absolute shit that came out, all of this stuff. Clearly, he had a group around him that he trusted and that he liked. In order to keep that in this day and age that quiet, that we didn't know who was coming. Not saying I know the man Brian Harsin and whether it's going to work out or not, but props to him for keeping it quiet and really looking through. And I'll trust our athletic director going forward. Brian Harsin claimed to fame. He was the offensive coordinator with the now Washington head coach, Chris Peterson. He was the head coach at the time for Boise State. The famous Statue of Liberty play, 2007 Oklahoma game or 2008, wherever it was, the famous one where they hand it off.
Yeah,
takes it. Brian Harsin was the offensive coordinator at the time for the hook and ladder. All of these cool plays. And he said that Auburn, it would take a special job to get him away from his alma mater. So I'm excited for it. I'm hoping that he has ties to the West Coast and hopefully open up some recruiting out west.
What was the connection between Malzahn and Harsin that you told me about? I forget what it was.
The weird part is that there's technically no connection, but I can't help but think that it's coincidence where it meets up is weird. Gus Malzahn was the head coach of Arky State. In the 2012 season. Arky State, yeah. Arkansas State.
Oh, Arkansas, okay.
So that's just how I got to say it. You know that. 2012 season, Arkansas State, Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn accepts the job to be Auburn's head coach. In comes Brian Harsin out of nowhere. That was his job after the offensive coordinator position at Boise State. He went to Arkansas State for 1 year. Just the 2013 season, right after Gus left, back up to Boise State to be the head coach. And now when Gus departs Auburn, Brian Harsin is in at Auburn.
That's funny. He's followed.
The coach will always have my full support. I really like his attitude, his mentality a lot. He is a very, very West Coast spread heavy system. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping we have Tank Bigsby. And for those of you who don't know, looking at football, he was freshman of the year in the SEC. He is an absolutely polarizing running back. First round pick, in my opinion, going forward. I hope he doesn't transfer because I'm afraid with an offensive, West Coast spread heavy system, there might be some mentality differences there, but we'll see where it goes. He has my full support. I'm still sad. I miss Gus a lot. He gave me my best moments, but hey, it is what it is. Props to Alan Green for getting the job done.
All right. Director. So I thought it was important to put that in there. Let's switch course here to the playoffs. All right. So I'm going to give a quick synopsis of what happened this past weekend. Just for pretty much every division spot is handled this past week. The Seahawks clinched their division officially by beating the Rams. The Bucks clinched that 5th spot for the playoffs on the NFC side. Other than that, not a whole lot of things changed in the NFC side. The AFC side was weird though. Started on Saturday night. Saturday night, awesome game. I actually put a video out, reacting to that football game. Dolphins, Raiders. Dolphins come back and win that game in the last second. Awesome game, especially if you're a Dolphins fan. They win that game to stay in the 8th spot, the 8th seed, getting up to 10-5. Now, at that time, at Saturday night was over, we were looking at the Colts and the Browns were in the 5 and 6 spot. Fast forward to with Colts and Browns are 5 and 6 spot with the Ravens in the 8th spot outside looking in. All right. Sunday comes around, the Colts lose to the Steelers, the Browns lose to the Jets, and the Ravens destroy the Giants, all right? So now how we're looking at this, that what happened with all that is that put the Dolphins, Ravens, Browns, and Colts all at 10 wins. The Dolphins went from the 8th spot to the 5 seed. The Ravens shoot up from the Dolphins went from the 7th spot to the 5 seed. The Ravens shoot up from the 8th spot to the 6th spot. Now the Browns are at 7th seed, and the Colts at 10-5 are on the outside looking in. The Colts have a couple different ways of getting. Obviously, they have to beat the Steelers next week. They did. The Steelers did just announce that they were going to.
They already lost to the Steelers. That's where it's going forward. The Steelers play the Browns.
They lost to the Steelers. Oh, okay, so it doesn't show me who they played. It's week 17. All right, so Colts are on the outside looking in. The Titans are at the 4 spot with 10 at 10-5 as well. Titans have that tiebreaker. Colts they lost the wrong fucking games because they pretty much have every single tiebreaker screwed. I think the big loss that they have is the Jaguars because at the end of the day,
week 1 too.
That week 1 loss because the Jaguars are the worst team in the NFL. They have one of the worst losses on their record. That might have something to do with it. I don't know how every single tiebreaker splits up, but I definitely think that's worth noting. Will you pull up week 17 for me? So how we're looking now?
Titans play the Texans. I know that one off the bat.
Titans play the Texans. Titans need to win that game. They probably should. Who else do we have?
Ravens catch the Bengals.
Ravens will play the Bengals. They'll probably win that game.
The Dolphins catch the Bills.
Dolphins have the Bills.
We're waiting to see what happens with Pittsburgh announcing that they're sitting Big Ben. So Buffalo, if I'm Buffalo, I'm probably sending it full send ahead, open up the sails, send the ship down, and get that 2 seed.
Yeah,
I think it's very vital for them to grab that.
So the Bills.
I would play whoever.
And just for reference, the Bills are at the 2 seed, the Steelers are at the 3 seed, both at 12-3. Steelers just said they were going to sit, and obviously the Steelers play the Browns. The Browns are going to be fighting for their lives, for their playoff lives. So they're going to play hard on that game. The Bills obviously play the Dolphins in the same situation, where the Dolphins have an outside chance of losing and still making the playoffs. But obviously, if they win, they know they're in and they control their destiny. They want to win that game, obviously. Bills win that game, they guarantee their 2nd seed. They lose that game and the Steelers lose the game, they still get the 2nd seed. It would not surprise me a bit if the Bills, decided to rest some of their starters. They might still play, a lot of their starters and just rest some, pretty much if anybody's even close to the injury report, they'll probably sit them this week because it's not a huge game. Dolphins, if the Dolphins lose to the Bills, they still have a 69% chance of making the playoffs. They'll almost certainly.
All you need is one other team below you to slip up.
All they need is for either the Ravens, Browns, or Colts to lose. That's all they would need to still make the playoffs. So if they lose and every single other team wins, they would obviously miss. But any other way, the Dolphins have the tiebreaker that works out in their favor. So that's how the playoffs are.
And we'll look at the bubble
down.
team, the Colts. How fitting is it that you start with the Jags at week 1 and you close it with week 17 with the Jags?
Yeah.
This is a Jacksonville team with nothing to lose now, though. They have already locked in this number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Not saying the Colts should win this game. And
Colts will win this game.
Colts should, very, very well should win this game. Honestly, man, how do you think it's going to shape up? Someone ain't making it. There is going to be a 10-win team not make the playoffs right now.
Yeah, that's
and technically 11 if you think all of them win their matchups.
There is a possibility. So the craziest thing about all this is you go over to the NFC, and I will answer your question in a second. But if you go over to the NFC, you look at the Bears and the Bears and the Cardinals are fighting for that 7th seed. Right? They're both 8-7. Bears have the tiebreaker, so the Bears win, they're in. The Rams still technically haven't clinched the playoffs at the 6th seed, but they're 9-6, so they should make the playoffs. They're a game ahead of the other 2 teams that are fighting for it. So an 8-8 team will make the playoffs this year. All right,
it happens
theoretically. So an 8-8 team could make the playoffs. A 9-7 team probably will make the playoffs. So theoretically, an 8-8 team could make the playoffs in the NFC, and theoretically, an 11-5 team could miss the playoffs in the AFC. So it's just crazy how that works out. And we talked about this when we did our first playoff look, I think in like week 11 or week 12 of the regular season, and we said, there's some big dogs at the top of the NFC. But there's some depth in the AFC, and
AFC has depth. NFC has big dogs. Yeah. I would name the Packers, the 1 through 5. Well, not 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, and 5. Skip the 4 for the NFC. Sorry, Washington, you're out. Packers, Saints, Seahawks, Bucks.
All tough teams.
I think they're very, very tough teams.
Yeah.
1 through 7, 2 through 7. 1 is the Chiefs. They're above all else.
Yeah,
they're in a separate league of their own. Mm-hmm. 2 through 7 though could make some damage. I'm gonna give it to your Fins. I think that given the right matchup in this playoffs, man, y'all are a team that shows grit. You have a good defense. Defense always travels.
Yeah.
And with a winning mentality, you never know.
Listen, look, people are gonna say, hey, they're the imposter or whatever, and that's fine.
You're 10-5.
We're 10-5.
You've already made it.
We beat we've beaten some tough teams. Obviously, the Raiders was a tough game. We won that game and then kind of gave it up and then won it again. So it was a weird game all around, tough matchup, and it is what it is. But hey, we beat the Cardinals when they were like on a run. We actually kind of slowed them down. We beat the Rams when they were looking really good. We've beaten some good football teams. So I definitely think it's worth saying.
I need your answer. I need your AFC playoff answer now.
I do think the Colts are going to make it. I think the Browns are probably going to lose. I don't know why. I could just see the Steelers, even with the backup Mason Rudolph. And also, it just feels like the Browns are the team that would fuck up in the last 2 games of the season, lose to the Jets, and then lose to the Steelers to miss the playoffs at a 10-win team. It would suck, but I could absolutely see that. I do think the Dolphins are going to make it. I even if the Dolphins lose, I think they're still going to make it because I think you can kind of count on at least one of those teams to miss. But yeah, I do think that's how it's going to happen. I think the Colts are going to sneak in at that 7th spot. Titans are going to hold on to the division at the 4th seed. The Ravens, who were on the outside looking in last week, and I mean just got a huge help. Like they had to be so mad when the Dolphins won against the Raiders because on Saturday night all they needed was the Dolphins to lose one game
and it was over.
And for the Ravens to win out, and the Ravens had a pretty good schedule to win out, and it was looking good. The Raiders, were winning that game with 8 seconds left, 4 seconds left before that field goal. But obviously, Dolphins win that game, and then Sunday was just a blessing because the 2 other teams that were ahead of them, the Colts and Browns, both lose, giving the Ravens a perfect chance to make the playoffs. The Ravens are going to make the playoffs. I would be very surprised if they missed.
I think the Ravens got it. I am going to give my more likely scenario, and it agrees with you in saying that the Browns probably lose. The Browns just lose to the Jets. I don't know why. Get into that game real quick. You lose all of your wide receivers. Why does Baker throw the ball 53 damn times?
Yeah.
Why do you ask him to do that? Kevin Stefanski, you got to be just like Yeah,
you're playing the Jets. I mean
10-win season. I'm not going to say that you haven't got it right. You're doing a great job there.
Yeah, but they and because I agree, they got there. They got there running the ball with Chubb and Hunt. I mean, that's how you got to where you've been by going 2 tight end set and running the football. You have Njoku, who's healthy, and Austin Hooper, who's healthy. Both of them have been injured this year. They're both back. There's no reason that even without, yes, you're down your wide receivers. I get that. Even without your wide receivers, run the football for
Seriously.
4 fucking quarters. Even if you're down by 10 points early in the first half, run the fucking football. Go beat the goddamn Jets. You didn't do it.
You make Baker play what he's been doing. The simple read, the 1-2-3 option, the play action off of the run on 3rd and short against the New York Jets. And now you're not even having to worry about this. But right now, I would say the Browns miss the playoffs. Yes, there is very much a chance. Mason Rudolph doesn't matter. The Steelers' defense is a monster.
Yeah.
They can disrupt what the Browns got going, and I don't know if the Browns can respond. I don't know if they're battle tested.
Yeah.
They're a good team. They have a chance to beat anyone. They have a chance to lose to anyone, depending on what their game plan is going forward. But there's another.
It's also working.
There's another way that I see it going.
Okay, let's hear that.
There's another way that I see the playoffs going, and it's gonna piss you off.
That's fine. Hey, that's okay.
I see the Bills winning.
Okay.
And I could see all the other teams winning.
Yeah.
The other one is going to piss off the hometown team, the Titans. I think they have gotten complacent at being at the top of that AFC South for just a minute.
Got crushed by the Packers. I didn't even mention that. Packers. They got crushed by the Packers, which if the Colts lost, if the Titans, the Titans lost too. If the Titans would have beaten the Packers, they would have clinched the division.
Game over.
It would have been over. But I mean,
that's a potential Super Bowl caliber team matchup though when we're talking about AFC, NFC. These are powerhouses. I like the Titans a lot. They're a really good team.
Yeah.
Get the job done against the Texans though.
Texans.
Don't allow you going up 1-0 on the Texans to be like, oh, we split 1-1 at the end of the year. Because you splitting 1-1 right now could be the end of the season for you.
And
I hope
and
it
as a
doesn't
Dolphins
happen.
fan, y'all better fucking beat the Texans because we got that 4 spot, baby.
And that would drop them even lower depending on what happens.
Hopefully, So we'll see who. So
more likely option, Browns are out. But man, at the end of the day,
I get that though. I get what you're saying.
All of these teams are so good though. There is a chance. The Titans, you're out. The Colts, you're out. I don't know, man.
Yes, the Ravens for a weird reason feel like the team that's not going to miss. It just feels like they finally got
started
together. Who do they play this week?
They play the Bengals. They should have.
They got to beat the Bengals. They'll beat the Bengals. The Ravens feel like the most likely, and I totally get Dolphins sitting at the 5 seat. If they lose and then the Ravens, Browns, and Colts win, they're out. So I get that.
The only reason I say that is because you're playing the Bills.
Yeah.
The Bills are competing for a 2. In my head, if I'm Buffalo, I want Josh Allen to be most comfortable in Buffalo until that matchup at KC.
Yeah.
Avoid that at all costs whenever you can. You want them to go through Buffalo. Just because it's cold, the elements, you never know.
So there was a point on Saturday night where I thought there was going to be a chance that the Bills would be guaranteed to have that 2 seed, and they would be looking at an opportunity because I was assuming the Browns and Colts would win.
The Colts beat the Steelers.
So there was a point where I was thinking the Bills were going to be in a situation to say, if we let the Dolphins win, we get to play them in the playoffs, and I'd much rather play the Dolphins than the Ravens in the playoffs.
Of course.
Let's do that. So that was a chance at a certain point. Like Saturday night, I was crunching the numbers. That was a possibility. Now it's a different story. You have your division rival team that the Dolphins are if they're not good, they're a pain in the ass. At the very least, you can say they're a pain in the ass. I think that there's an argument to say they're good, especially defensively. I don't blame you a bit for saying that the Dolphins could go in and win this game.
When you stack it toe-to-toe, y'all can win.
Yeah.
But when you look at 1 through 6, I would say that y'all are the team that's every team would probably prefer to play y'all over the others.
Of course, yeah. So I think the reason I was saying the Bills the Dolphins will beat the Bills, 1, because the Dolphins are playing for something and Bills really aren't. 2, because I do think the Bills are going to sit Josh Allen. I think they're going to sit a lot of their starters, and I think that will give the Dolphins a chance to sneak into the playoffs. And look, part of this is me being a fan. I'm living in Tennessee right now. If we stay at the 5 spot, if we win and stay at the 5 spot and the Titans win, we play the Titans in Tennessee.
And you're going to that game.
I'm going to do everything I can to go to that game. So that would be all. I've never seen a Dolphins playoff game other than us getting crushed by either the Ravens or the Steelers. Other than that, I've never seen a Dolphins playoff game.
That Matt Moore Steelers game with Bud Dupree taking his head off.
Yeah.
Legendary.
I remember that. And then I remember then in 2008, we had the Wildcat year with, I don't even remember, with Chad Pennington.
Yes.
That was also the year that Tom Brady got hurt. So we went 11-5 that year, won our division for the first time in forever, and then hosted the Baltimore Ravens. They just absolutely crushed us. So that's just been my experience. I know what it's like to lose the NFC North. That's or the AFC North. Excuse me. That's what I know.
I know what it's like. I'll segue here. I know what it's like to lose in the NFC North. So let's segue over to the NFC and kind of see who you think is legitimate run worthy in the playoffs here.
Because we don't need to talk. We know either the Cardinals or Bears are going to get the opportunity to lose to the Saints in the first round of the playoffs.
Exactly, and
right?
I truly believe that. And same for Washington. I think Washington has the playoffs locked, right?
No, they don't. If they lose, and the Cowboys and Giants are both in a
so there we go.
Yes,
so there's a chance that Washington could fuck around. Giants win, Cowboys lose, Washington loses, Giants take it because of tiebreaker.
Yeah, and then Cowboys
win,
could
Washington
still get it.
loses, they get it. So there we go. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't want to play the Cowboys just because of roster talent wise. You never know.
Yeah.
But going forward, I think the Buccaneers locked in at this 5 seed. They're the team that I'm looking at to make a run. I'm back on them, man. I'm back on Tom Brady. The man is 40-something years old. He 43. Threw 43.
Yeah,
is that what
43,
you said?
43. Yeah.
43. He has 6 touchdowns.
I give him all the
600
credit in the
yards.
world.
600 yards registered in 4 quarters.
Yeah, that's
because
crazy.
he got set at half.
Yeah, ridiculous. Listen,
do you not think it's going to carry in the playoffs?
No, listen, I absolutely look. I get it. Look, I did not believe the Bucs were going to be quite as good as everyone did, and I think I was about right because I thought they would make the playoffs. I just didn't think they were going to be as good at what's probably going to end up being an 11-5 football team. They're a damn good football team. Tom Brady still has something left in the tank. I've just seen it go both ways. I've seen the Bucs go bad Bucs and bag Tom Brady, and it sucks. And I've seen good Bucs, good Tom Brady, and it's awesome. I just look at this as 3 playoff games before they get to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, they have the wild card divisional championship. Yeah, so 3 playoff games before they get to the Super Bowl. If the Bucs make the Super Bowl, Tom Brady's going to go good Tom Brady and do it all, probably. But I just don't think they're going to get there. I assume that's the run you're talking about, right? Like, go all the way. Because that's the expectation.
Man, I really think so. Look, I think Tom Brady's built for it. Trust me. I've seen bad Bucs. I've seen good Bucs.
Yeah.
But then again, I've seen the only team that I can say that I haven't seen a really, really bad version and lose is the Saints.
Yeah. I've
seen bad Saints. I've seen Saints without utilizing Michael Thomas and Kamara. Man, they still fucking won.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I think that.
I remember that.
I've seen bad Seattle though.
Yeah.
I've seen bad Green Bay.
Yeah.
But bad Saints, I still see them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Saints are going to make it to the playoffs.
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl, yeah, they made it to the playoffs. I think the Saints are going to make it to the Super Bowl. I just think there's too many ways. The Packers are going to lose unceremoniously in the playoffs. I think that's just almost a guarantee.
It's too stereotypical.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I'm glad they got the 1 seed. I'm rooting for Aaron Rodgers. I'll be honest with you. If you made me pick a team that I want to make it, it's either the Seahawks or the Packers. I want to see. I think that. I mean, I would like to see both these guys. And the only reason I don't say the Saints is because I don't think Drew Brees is fun to watch right now.
He's not.
I'm a fan. Look,
it's a struggle.
All 3 of these top 3 teams in the NFC have a legendary quarterback that has 1 Super Bowl. I would like all of them to get another one, right? And 2 years ago, I was like rooting
You don't want Tom to get another one?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I think he's fine. I think he's fine. He'll be okay.
7's a bit much.
Listen, but I said for years I think he'll get 7, but I thought he would get it with the Patriots. So I don't think he'll get there anymore. We'll see though. Look, at the end of the day, what I was saying is I want one of those 3 teams to probably win it all and get another Super Bowl. I think Aaron Rodgers, it means the most to me because Aaron Rodgers has been shit on for so long as being like considered, good but not like elite or maybe elite but not all-time great, whatever you want to say. And to me, it's just unfair to him. I think that's just, I'll leave it at that. And I would love to see him get one more and solidify his legacy a little bit. I love Drew Brees.
But
I love the player.
Why do the Packers get to win? I'll interrupt you for a minute 30 at most. Mm-hmm. Why do the Packers management get to win? Why do they get to draft Jordan Love and piss him off, piss Aaron Rodgers off, and let Aaron Rodgers win MVP.
I don't get it. I thought their draft was horrible. If you made me pick,
it was a horrible draft when you're looking at the grade. But at the end of the day, if Aaron Rodgers wins MVP and gets the Super Bowl,
nobody remembers the draft.
Jordan Love is the best pick in the draft.
Well, look, not even that, because like that's just a fun thing to talk about.
That's a fun way to spin it. But
like even like you look at the Packers draft, they drafted a running back in the second round. Which, if you draft a running back in the second round, he better fucking start. That's a running back.
This was the first week we've seen him be relevant.
Exactly, running back in the second round, you didn't even fucking use him all year. So, and you've had a good running back stable. It's not like you needed a running back in the first round. So, look, I absolutely get it.
I just wanted to mention that before you go through the rest of it.
So, deserve to win? Does the management deserve to win? No, but Aaron Rodgers put this fucking team on his back. The Packers, if they win the Super Bowl this year, if they win the championship, they didn't win because the management put everything around him. They won because Aaron Rodgers said, fuck everybody. I have a healthy wide receiver for the year. I have an offensive line that can block good enough. I'll do everything else.
It would fully, and this means a lot, you have this on camera too, it would fully cement him as the greatest quarterback in Green Bay Packers history.
Oh, yeah.
100%, because I mean we've seen the talent, we've seen the flashes. He can do things that no others can. With minimal talent around him.
I've said for a long time, and I'll continue to say, before I saw Patrick Mahomes throw a football, he was the most talented quarterback I'd ever seen. Greatest is a different thing. Greatest is Tom Brady because he is the greatest quarterback. But most talented, I think with the quarterback position, we need to start making categories because everyone can't be the fucking GOAT, right? So we got to start making categories and start. Like, Tom Brady deserves the greatest of all time because he's the most clutch quarterback of all time. I'm sorry, I just fumbled on my words a little bit. But he is awesome in that regard. But I will sit here and say that from a talent perspective, Aaron Rodgers can do things Tom Brady can't. I'll rephrase it. Aaron Rodgers has done things that I've never seen Tom Brady do. I'll put it that way.
And with a lesser team around him at times. Tom has had to battle through bad teams, but he has Belichick. He always had Belichick on that Batman utility belt to kind of pull out and go. Aaron Rodgers is sitting there like, bro, you've never drafted a first-round wide receiver for me ever. Yeah. That's ever. That's even Devontae Adams. Yeah. That's just where it's at. You're lucky that one hit, Packers management. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, you were truly gifted. I'm a Vikings fan. Don't want to see it happen necessarily. Yeah. But Aaron Rodgers, the person, I almost want to see it happen because I think you fucking hate the Packers too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
I think he does. I really do because of how much they have wasted his talent. He's like, man, I'm about to say fuck you and win this thing.
All right, so let's just go kind of down the list of teams. The Saints, look, Drew Brees is awesome. I love Drew Brees, the person. I don't want to hate on him at all. I do think he has been carried by Sean Payton for a little bit longer than people want to admit. I'll say that. I don't want to get people, adding me or whatever. But
they're coming in the comments.
Yeah, but like I think it's fair to say we know the limitations of Drew Brees, and he can be limited at times. And at this point in his career, he's very limited at times. I think it's very obvious at this point. I would still love him to see him get another ring. He's an all-time great, so I don't want to, distract from the fact that he's been awesome for a long time. He's in his 40s and he's not playing as well as he used to.
Is it his last run?
I think I hope so. I do. I hope so because he's declined over the past. I'll say 3 years of I think 3 years ago was the first time you're like, well, it doesn't look as good, and then it's just gotten worse and worse. But his team has been so good that's kind of hidden that from being a popular narrative, which is fair. That's going to happen if your team's doing well. No one's going to question the average quarterback play. I'll say at times, and sometimes it's awesome. I don't mean to say consistently average, but at times it hasn't been all time great. But that's what I'll say there. I don't think he deserves to win it now because he is past that point. I would still like to see the Saints win because the Saints have been just such a good team for a while, and they've gotten fucked over. Seattle, Russell Wilson, to me, he's not far off from Aaron Rodgers. I won't repeat myself because it'll be very similar to what I've said about Aaron Rodgers, but I think Russell Wilson has done a lot with a little, and now he has an awesome passing game around him, just awesome talent. You can't tell me that DK Metcalf isn't a top 5, I'd say top 5 wide receiver in the NFL right now. You have Tyler Lockett, you have a good run game. Your offense line isn't great, but it's good. And now it's he is the offense, and he is carrying his team. It hasn't looked great at times, but they lost 4 games all year. So it's don't tell me that they've been bad.
That's the thing where it's people are like, man, but they struggled against that team.
Yeah.
But it's you can only say that 4 times.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, same for Drew Brees.
Yeah.
All of these teams are 11.
Yeah, but Drew
10 and 5
Brees missed a lot of games in the middle of the year. That's part of my
with the Drew Brees thing. I say that it's limited with Drew because you are limited with what your offense can do.
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking at 40+ yard. I know you don't scheme for that route being a thing, but if you're looking at a go route, 40+ yards isn't on the table for you. You call in Taysom Hill.
Look, we knew it for years. If you really want to go back and look, if you watch Saints games for a long time, every time they drew up a long developing passing route,
Taysom Hill was the quarterback.
Taysom Hill was in, and nobody really bat an eye because Taysom Hill got in for run plays and other things like that. But that was the thing. That's what they did, and that's okay.
The Swiss Army knife disguised the decline of what is a legendary quarterback.
Still fucking amazing within 20 yards. I'm not shitting on him, but he lost aspects of his game.
He will dink and dunk and dice you up for days. He's a surgeon.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there are these clutch moments that you need to see. I'm a Vikings fan. Why do you think I wanted to play the Saints?
Let me just because
go on about the Bucs.
Bucs. I mean, we know what the Bucs are. I don't have anything about those.
No, I want to hear what you think about the Bucs because I know that you were an avid Tom Brady age. For when guys get older, you just kind of take your pants off and shit on them.
I am quick to recognize decline, and I'm quick to say, hey, he's not going to be as good this year as he was last year. You're absolutely right, and I've been wrong.
To think that the Bucs go to the Super Bowl, they have to go through the Saints, who they are 0-2 against, who they have destroyed Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Do you think it changes?
No, I don't think it changes. I don't. Look, I get it. I get that I've kind of
on your side.
Look, I get that I've kind of shit on Tom Brady at times. I don't feel like I hate him, or I feel like in our friend group I get a lot of shit for hating on Tom Brady. Yeah. Part of that's just because I'm a Dolphins fan, so I've seen him be great for a long time.
20 years,
so it's give me a little bit of break for that. But also, I don't feel like I do. I respect the greatness. I feel like every time he wins a Super Bowl, the next day I can sit back and at least say it's awesome to have seen this, right? I feel like that's fair. And now he's on a team with a great weapons all around him, and he's been doing well. I will say from a physical ability standpoint, he's not blowing it out of the park. He's better than Breeze, and he's a lot better than I think I expected him to be this year. He still has plays that are just holy fucking shit. How does he have that much juice at his age? Yeah. I'll give him all the credit in the world. I'm saying I don't think he's gonna win because I've seen bad Bucks. I won't even say bad Brady. I've seen bad Bucks enough times this year. I've seen it, a handful of times to where I think it's gonna show up at least once in the playoffs. That's all I'll say about that.
They're 10-5, but man, if you take 3 out of those 5 losses, they are ugly. And also less than 200 yards of offense.
Also, a couple of those wins have been pretty bad too. They just they got lucky to play a bad team. They played horrible against the Chargers this year, but showed up in the fourth quarter a little bit.
Tom Brady comeback.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of thing. Look, we'll move on there. I did want to go back, and we'll kind of end it on this with the Chiefs. This past week, the Chiefs struggled against the Falcons. The Falcons actually had a field goal where they were a missed field goal away from tying the game and going to overtime against the 14-1 Chiefs. And this Falcons team, look, they're slated to get the 3rd pick in the draft right now. Yes. So I mean, not a ceremonial close
number
game.
1 kicker in fantasy, missing that, by the way.
Oh, he's the number 1 kicker? I didn't realize that. I didn't realize he was the number 1 kicker in fantasy. I know that my Dolphins kicker, Jason Sanders, is the number 1 kicker in the NFL right now, or number 2. He might be behind the Ravens kicker.
Statistically, if you're looking at non-fantasy stats, who he's behind? Who? War Eagle Daniel Carlson at
who missed that extra point.
Hey now, listen.
Hey now,
we're not going to talk about that.
You missed that extra point though.
but get back to your point with the Chiefs.
Anyway, Chiefs. We know what the Chiefs are. We know the Chiefs can turn on at any second and win just about any game. They will match up against any team because they can do just about anything. Their defense is better than people really even realize. With that being said, it feels like they've been in neutral for the past couple weeks, and they just kind of been turning it on when they need to a little bit. In this Falcons game, I feel like is the most obvious example of that, to where they were we're just they were slugging along, they let the Falcons stick around. Yes, it was a bad game for the Falcons.
Listen,
it was a bad game against the Falcons. That's fair to say.
No, it was a very bad game against the Falcons, but I would defend it by saying that I think they're just out there fucking around.
Exactly.
Andy Reid is on he has 24 sheets in the play card sheet, and he's on 23-24 being
That's
DeMarcus Robinson will let you throw the ball.
That's my point. If they fuck around against one of these good teams,
they're not.
Are they gonna? I'm just saying. I'm gonna put the narrative out there to say the only way the Chiefs don't repeat this year, the only way the Chiefs don't make the playoff and make the Super Bowl. I'll put it that way. I think if they make the Super Bowl, they could lose against one of these top games in the NFC. But the only way they don't make the Super Bowl this year is if they fuck around against a Steelers team or a Bills team or even a fucking Ravens team, Colts team, whatever the fuck Titans. You want to say.
Give them
any one of these fucking
there's
teams,
a lot of good teams.
They could fuck around against just about anybody except for the Dolphins. I don't really think they could lose to the Dolphins because we watched them.
I'm glad you took your bias hat.
Well, yeah, look, they fucked around against the Dolphins. They had like 3 or 4 turnovers against the Dolphins and dominated them. It looked closer than it was. They're not going to lose to the Dolphins. The Dolphins just don't have the offensive firepower to really compete. Every other team, I think, has some form of a legitimate weapon that can compete if the Chiefs are fucking around. On any given Sunday, the Chiefs are going to win. The Chiefs are the favorite to make it to the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, is there a chance that after a bye week, because they're already going to have the bye week, after fucking spending December already having won the number 1 seed, essentially, are they going to come out a little bit lackluster, and whoever they're playing, are they going to fuck up at the end of the day?
Scroll down a little bit, just so I can remember. The Ravens and the Titans. Those are the 2 teams that are capable of coming off of a Chiefs bye, and I really think taking it to them, punching them in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. I think the Colts have that ability too, by the way.
Really? The Colts?
Yeah. I do.
Well, Jonathan Taylor's come on strong.
I say with Jonathan Taylor.
They have a good defense.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, I'm probably not giving the Colts their due respect in saying that. Those are the type of teams that are capable of traveling to KC in these cold winter elements and beating a team that, maybe they take a little bit of a game off and maybe that carries on to the first half of the second game. But, man, at the end of the day, look at last year. What did the Texans have on them?
It was 24-0 at the half, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and it was really just a perfectly scripted game, and then it turned in a second, yeah.
I'll make you a bet, and I don't think you want to take it. No. I'll do 5 shots. Chiefs win. You get the field.
Win what?
Super Bowl.
Win the Super Bowl? I'll take the field against the Super Bowl, yeah.
5 shots. There we go.
5 shots is worth taking for the field, yeah.
I get to watch Pat Mahomes win a second.
And just to be clear, I'll be rooting for Patrick Mahomes too.
Yeah.
But I'll take 5 shots. That's fine.
It's hard enough. I want Tom Brady to win. I'm not even going to lie. My Vikings are now eliminated. I want to see Tom Brady win it.
Why does he need a 7th? Let me ask you this. Let me just frame it in a different way.
Go ahead.
Is it because you want him to prove that it wasn't Bill Belichick?
Partly. I want to see greatness. I want to see one of the...
We've seen greatness. We've seen greatness for years.
And
let me tell you right now, we're going to see greatness for a long fucking time with the Chiefs.
You're pissed off at Tom Brady,
I'm
bro.
not.
You sound salty. Listen, I'm a Vikings fan. I can't root for Aaron Rodgers necessarily. I want Aaron Rodgers because I think he wants to fuck the Packers more, but fucking the Packers wins. So I lose. Drew Brees, I think you're too old just a little bit, so... As much slander as I put out on Drew Brees, I kind of want to be right about that. Mm-hmm. Seahawks, it wouldn't bother me because I love Russell Wilson. And I love that the Legion of Boom kind of left a bad taste in the average fan's mouth about, they're the villains of the NFL. Mm-hmm. You know, they're we're going to pop you, we're going to smack you and beat you. Mm-hmm. Seahawks fans, I'm sure you love them, and you should love them. They're legends. But looking at it from the average fan, they're like... the LeBron Miami Heat era. They're just so good. It's like you kind of want them to lose.
You wanted LeBron and the Miami Heat to lose? What?
No, I didn't.
I did. I'm a Heat fan. So
I'm a LeBron dick rider. I'll ride him to the end. But in saying that, Russell Wilson, if he's able to get it done this year, it is solely because of him and on his shoulders.
Listen.
Wouldn't bother me if Seattle wins it. Wouldn't bother me if Tampa Bay wins it.
Okay, that's fair.
I have a wet dream that the Rams pull it off.
I just don't want to see Jared Goff win. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like I don't think Jared Goff's good enough. I just don't. I don't. Maybe I do hate him. I don't know. He's just I don't. You know what? I never hated him until he got paid as much as he got paid. I didn't think he deserved that.
You want to see the absolute wild card of wild cards?
Let's hear it.
Go put $10 on the New York Giants to win the Super Bowl
right now. Yeah,
right now
at 5 and 10.
Right
that'd
the
be a
fuck
fucking
now.
bet.
You win almost $5,000.
I love it. Last thing I want to say before we head out with the Seahawks, you mentioned it, Russell Wilson and Legion of Boom. It made me. I just wanted to reinforce this and remind everybody that Russell Wilson was the quarterback of the Seahawks when they won that Super Bowl. Russell Wilson was not the reason they won that Super Bowl. Everyone knew that Russell Wilson was just kind of a placeholder at quarterback at that time. At the time, he was really good, but he wasn't the legend that he is now. Right now, he's a fucking legend.
He was a good quarterback.
He was a good quarterback, but he wasn't like he was an NFL average quarterback at that time. He had not yet like upgraded to a legend. Like again, Russell Wilson right now, top 3, top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and he has been for a while. I'm saying in his first couple years in the NFL, he wasn't there yet. You got to calm you down a little bit. The defense, like, bring it down. He wasn't. I promise. The defense was really fucking good.
The defense. At the end of the day, I know I can defend that by saying that the defense was the headpiece of that team.
Yeah, that's all I was saying. Yeah, the defense was like the storyline. The defense was everything. And then he obviously gets the ring. I would like him to get a ring.
Man, you scared me.
He is leading his fucking team to the Super Bowl. If the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, it is Russell Wilson carrying the fucking backpack with like DK Metcalf helping him out a little bit.
Man,
like
but what
that's
about Jalen Ramsey locking up DK in 2 games?
No, DK had a great game this past week.
No, we did not.
Oh, let's look it up.
Let's look it up.
Let's look it up. We can talk just for a second. Let me look up DK.
Ramsey locked that ass up.
Bro, I lost a prop bet because DK Metcalf had too many catches. I don't know what his final stats were. He had 6 receptions for 59 yards.
That's not good.
He had 6 receptions though. He was involved in the offense.
I mean, involved in the offense doesn't mean that you're good. Jalen Ramsey locked that ass up.
6 receptions doesn't mean he was locked down either.
Oh my God!
Come on,
Smalls. 6 receptions doesn't win you that fucking game.
Look, he got locked down.
Okay,
he got locked down when he had 2 receptions for 28 yards. He did not get locked down when he had 6 receptions.
For those of you who held on this long, I'm glad you fucking did. 10 receptions, 177, 12 for 161, 7 for 108. Goddamn, 2 for 28. Who was guarding him then? Jalen?
Yeah, I just said that.
So in 2 games, Jalen kept him at 8 catches, 80-something yards. Run it.
Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL. I wasn't trying to argue against that. I was just saying he had a good game this past week. I mean, he didn't...
Solid is not good.
He had a solid game. I'll put it that way. He had a solid game this past week. All right, fair enough. Are we good? You want to
DK Metcalf is not a top 5 receiver.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Who's better? Right now. No, right now this year.
Fuck you
right
for that.
now this year.
Fuck you for that. Right now. Because you're saying his calf hurts. That's
right now this year. Right now this year. I
can't even say Michael Thomas, can I?
Fucking say Michael Thomas. I'll give you Michael Thomas. I'm not going to give you both of them.
If you give me Michael Thomas, then you give me D-Hops.
Deal.
Then you give me Devontae Adams.
Sure.
Then you give me DeAndre Hopkins.
Sure.
Then you give me Stephon Diggs.
DK's better than Stephon Diggs, I'll say.
What?
DK is more physically talented than Stephon Diggs.
Because the dude looks like a fucking Megatron.
Yeah, he's just as he's double Stephon Diggs' size and just as fast.
No.
Okay.
I mean, yes, but Stephon Diggs is better.
Hey, this is an off-season argument. This is an argument we can have. We can dive into this when we're going off-season. Guys, thank you so much for watching.
Justin Jefferson's the Rookie of the Year.
He should be the Rookie of the Year. I absolutely agree. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you've hung on this long, it is worth a subscribe. It is worth a like. Go on. If you're watching on the Underdogs YouTube channel or Underdogs Podcast Network, we really want to thank those guys for having us on and spreading our content a little bit. We really appreciate it. Guys, we'll see you next week. Go Dolphins. Let's make it to the playoffs. Peace out.